All right, gang, Professor McElroy here, Digital Animation Effects 2, Week 2, Learning Module 2. We're still in Adobe Premiere. We'll be doing some basic logo animations in After Effects next week, which we will be importing into our timeline in Adobe Premiere to kind of finalize the process for social media, kind of like mini commercial branding opportunities, which is what Premiere and After Effects for graphic designers is awesome for. This week, we're going to take a little deeper dive into the building of a small, short social media commercial and kind of show you how I use Premiere to kind of chop up, apply effects to, import a logo, a static logo, the beginnings of my storyboard for my little social media commercials that I post for some of my clients in the range of 3 seconds to up to about 7 seconds. We'll kind of see how long ours ends up tonight with our lecture. Looks like just about everyone is logging online tonight, which is cool. These files are really big. So sometimes it's best just to work where you have access to a computer and software. So I have no problem whatsoever these first 2 weeks of having us kind of work whatever works best for us. Next week is After Effects, so we'll do a logo animation. That one, the file won't be as big, so we'll be able to play around with that a little bit easier and kind of take it home and build it wherever we want to build it. So we'll go ahead and do our mini lecture tonight. Everyone has started their chapter assignments, which looks good. Everyone's posted in the discussion board. So we're plugging right along. We only have a handful of students in this section. We're kind of winding down the summer session. Actually, Digital Animation 1 has almost a little over half a dozen students in it. So we're kind of building up towards this September fall start. So we're going to try to give you as much time as possible to be working on your chapter assignments this evening. But I do want to do a small lecture about how I use Premiere for my social media posts for my clients and kind of show them how to build a brand and build some drama in kinetic motion, but also keeping it compact and concise so it's easy to post to Twitter. You can upload it to your YouTube channel. You can post it on multiple social media outlets, and you can start tagging your videos in a way that builds a brand and a campaign. So I thought tonight, I'm a big runner. I love to, I don't know, I'd go for traditionally about a 4-mile run, 3 to 4 days a week, depending on how hot it is how hard I kind of push myself. But I enjoy being outside. It's one of the reasons that I live in Southwest Florida is I like to hike, I like to run, I like to bike. Well, I like to mountain bike, but there aren't any mountains here. So I thought maybe we would do kind of a short between 3 and 5 second social media video. And I thought I would do New Balance because it's a product that I use. I use their shoes. I bought some of their wicked clothing so that when it's hot out and you're outside working out, you can still stay cool. So I thought we would use Premiere to build a little 3, 4, 5 second brandable social media video, kind of using the basic tools and techniques I use in Premiere. And next week we'll animate the logo and import that into the video so you can kind of see how I tie all the loose ends together and kind of build this short social media campaign for the clients that I have. And so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my browser. I'm going to go in and grab a new video. Let's go over to Pexels and type in runner, because we're just going to do a short little New Balance video. And we're going to use a runner video as one of our, let's go to videos, one of our clips kind of. So let's see how long this one is. This is a good runner video. About 12 seconds or so, that's fine. So we're going to use this one. I'm going to go out and grab a New Balance logo, and we'll talk about the static images and what work best in Premiere when we're building these kind of social media campaigns for our clients. You'll notice that it's an MP4 file, which is perfect. So I'll go ahead and, so let's just go out to Google and do a New Balance logo, see what we get. And I'm looking for one that's on a black background, because remember the static default screen for our Premiere is black. So let's go in and grab this one. You're going to notice this is a transparent PNG, which is a really good file for designers in general, because it's a PostScript graphic. It's transparent, which means it has no background color, which means it works great in a layered environment. And it's got pretty good resolution for being a web element. This is 750 pixels wide, so that'll work fine for our video. Ideally, you know, you want to grab something in the 1,000 pixel range, but for a transparent PNG, this isn't too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with this logo. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to minimize my browser for now, just in case I need to go grab anything that I might need as I'm building my animation here. So let's go into Premiere. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Premiere. Everyone started to navigate through their chapter assignments, learning about the dashboard, opening up. Hopefully they've downloaded their chapter files, because they're beasts, they're big. Remember, they're like 6 gig. So let's do a new project. I'm going to name this New Balance _ McElroy. And for this process, I'm going to go ahead and dump it to the desktop, but I'm going to add a new folder called New Balance, create that, and then I'm going to dump this into my New Balance folder. So remember, it's important that we're building this kind of root directory, subdirectory environment. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab my Pexels video. And if I'm working with a client, I'm going to rename my files to match my client. So this is a runner clip. And we're going to do New Balance logo white. And you'll notice that I'm putting underscores to separate my naming so that it's easy for me to search as I'm kind of navigating through. Okay, so let's get into my New Balance. Let's take my runner clip and dump that into my media. I'm going to take my logo. I'm going to dump that into my media. So now I've got the 2 pieces I need to build my little social media campaign. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my video clip and dump it over there. And you're going to notice, let's zoom in a little bit. There's my 12-second clip. So I've got my basic video uploaded. I'm going to start with it at 0, 0, because this is my clip. I'm going to end up shifting it over and dropping my logo in and kind of dissolving it in and dissolving it out into my runner. And then I'm going to run my runner video. I'm going to do what's called a cut screen, which means I'm going to use the same clip. When I go out with clients and I go out to shoot video for them, maybe I'm going to their manufacturing plant, maybe I'm going to their corporate headquarters, maybe I'm just doing some exterior building shots, or maybe I'm doing some client-specific thing they've created, whether it's an engineering firm and it's a master plan community, or it's a design firm and they did some vehicle graphics or some installation clips or something like that. I'll go out and I'll shoot on my iPad some video clips. Remember, they're for social media. So I'm going to use my lower level, kind of high definition quality, the one I set up with this video. And what I try to do is I shoot a bunch of videos, but I try to capture one video that's between 5 and 15 seconds that really kind of captures the moment of what I'm trying to do with the ad campaign or the campaign I'm building for them for social media. Remember, campaigns can be both print, they can be web, they can be social media. In this case, social media is a really powerful tool because it's free. So I'm trying to build a series of videos with a consistent hashtag campaign that I can post to multiple media outlets, multiple social media outlets, capturing like a moment in time, but kind of a moment in time in kinetic terms. So a moment in time, but it's kind of in motion, kind of like the new live photos that the phones do, where you're actually taking a picture, but the picture captures a little bit of time so that the photo moves, even though it's a static photo. In essence, that's what we're trying to do. So I spend a lot of my time kind of taking the video, shooting multiple clips of multiple locations. Sometimes I'll do cut screens. Well, I'll stagger in different videos and interlace them all together into one short social media clip. Or sometimes I'll take just one really well captured video of what I'm trying to do for my campaign. Because remember, the campaign is a series of social media clips. So I may have 3 different videos that are going to be 3 different social media posts that are all the same campaign, which means all the same treatments, the same styles, the same social media tag associated with it, so that I can build a brand over the course of multiple posts, right? Because that's what you want to generate. You want to generate a buzz about your product or service in social media. Remember, anything over 7 seconds, the consumer forgets about. So I really try, and you'll actually notice on Twitter, like even New Balance's Twitter, they have like 15, 20-second video clips on their social media, on their Twitter page. And that kind of is against the rule of thumb. You really should stay in that 7-second range, 5 to 7. But you'll notice a lot of their clips are a little bit longer. So I don't know whether I'm going to cut the last 2 seconds, 2, 3, 4 seconds off this thing to get it under the 10-second range. But I'll show you some of the techniques I use using filters, color edits, splicing, logo animation, transitions, just to create a little bit of uniquely identifiable transitions. Now, remember that kind of visual communicators, designers, creative thinkers, they all have their own kind of unique eye, their own ability to see things, whether it's color or texture or composition or perspective, or maybe it's typography. There's always that innate ability that visual communicators have that are unique to them. And so notice, as I'm kind of doing this process, you may be thinking about or thinking other things that maybe you would do towards the video to kind of create this interest, this drama, this campaign that we could replicate over and over again, so that we create a consistency of application across multiple videos, kind of using the same treatment. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're playing around here, and I'm showing you some of the techniques I use. I do shoot my own video. I do meet with the client and storyboard a little bit what they're thinking as far as a social media campaign goes. And then from there, I start shooting raw video, creating my premiere projects, start splicing and editing my video to kind of fit the process of what I see their product or service kind of graduating or kind of gravitating towards. And then from there, I build my video clip. So let's get in here, and I'm just going to start with kind of cutting this thing up. So you kind of see the storyboard kind of taking shape. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to splice the video at all the places where the video kind of pans to the next still. And so you'll notice the first part is the upper torso, then it pans down to the shoes, and then at the shoes, it runs along for a little bit of time. So you'll notice right about here, it starts panning up again. So you see that movement? So right when that movement happens is about where I'm going to put my next splice mark in. And you're going to notice that I'm kind of watching the video, what the story is that it's telling. All right, so we're back up to the top here. So I'm going to splice right there. All right, and we're going to keep going here. And let's see, the last of this thing is the runner just in the same camera perspective. So you'll notice that the runner is kind of bouncing, and this part is part of the storyboard process. When I'm shooting video, I'll actually shoot it with an instance in mind where I can kind of capture. So there's the first bounce. So right there is the bounce. So I'm going to cut it there, and I'm actually going to cut this video at every runner bounce. So right about there. Right about there. And so I'm just generating right about there. And that way, if I need to trim any of my clips off, it's right at the different bounce areas. All right, so there's you can see that the runner stride is pretty consistent. Even though they're slightly bigger and smaller, it's a pretty consistent stride or pace that the runner's going through. So let's take this. I'm going to scroll back to the beginning. I'm going to use my selection arrow. I'm going to click on that. Let's go over and see what's going on with my effects. And so the first thing I'm going to do is a lot of new balance is either bright saturated colors or muted Instagram-esque kind of effect. So I'm going to go in here and let's go in here and scale up just a little bit. So I'm going to scale up on the material that is the back. And you'll notice that that is zoomed in. And you don't really notice that that's panned in, but you see how it disappears a bit off into the distance and then it starts to pan down. So I'm just using that change of camera perspective to kind of help. So I'm going to blow it up even a little bit more. So if you see if you can truly see what is going on here and see how far it snaps back, you can see it right there, but you would never notice that in the scheme of the process. So when I hit that, it's going to bounce down. Okay, so let's get back into that. So now I have that selected. I'm going to go into I think I'm going to go into my color palette because a lot of the things I like to do deal with color adjustment, intensity, saturation, things like that. So let's go in and see what we have going on here. So we have color. Let's see if I'm going to soften the film a little bit. I'm going to sharpen the film a little bit. I'm going to take a little color out of the film a little bit. I'm going to adjust the saturation of it. And I'm going to start playing around with some of the elements here. And you'll notice that I can actually go in here. I'm going to go into my hue and saturation, and I'm going to adjust the blues of it. So I'm going to select the blues of it, and I'm going to take this thing. I'm going to slide it a little bit so you can see what's going on here. So I have my saturation adjusted just a skosh. So let's adjust the hue a little bit. So I'm going to take that and slide it a little bit. So I'm trying to create, in essence, kind of an Instagram-esque. So you'll see how she's very light, and then she snaps into a more saturated effect. So let's scroll. Let's crank down the luminescence of it just a skosh. Saturation versus saturation. And you can see I'm just creating a very strong kind of Instagram effect of the running of the runner. So let's see if we can't crank down the vignette just a little bit, which means fuzz the edges a little bit. So you can see that it's going to start off kind of very, there you go, the roundedness of it. I'm going to just tweak with this just ever so slightly. So now you'll notice, watch if I go in here and slide these just a skosh. So you can see how saturated it is. So the reason I did that is because I'm going to go in now and I'm going to go into my video transitions. And now that I have that separated, I like dissolve. So I'm going to take the additive dissolve and I'm going to drop it on the front of this thing. So you can see that it dissolves out. So let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see. what is going on. So there's my additive dissolve right there. So I think I want to change the duration a little bit and make it a little quicker. And so there it is dissolving, right? It's got a quick dissolve going on there. The reason I did that is because I want to dissolve the front too. So you see that, how it dissolves in and then dissolves out for like this really dramatic effect. So now if I go in here, I want to make that like 12 so that it does give me a little full saturation. So there it is, dissolving in and dissolving out. And this is my only first clip zoomed in. The reason I did that is because I want to move this thing a little bit. So there it is. I'm going to take my New Balance logo. I'm going to drop this thing in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I want the logo only to be there during that part of the video. So you can kind of see what I have going on here. And so here's my New Balance logo. And I want my New Balance logo to be there to start with, but I want it to dissolve its way out as I dissolve in my next clip. And so you'll notice that this thing dissolves out and then the runner's going to dissolve in. So let's select that. We're going to make the dissolve 2 seconds. All right, so now I have my dissolve, dissolves out, my runner dissolves in. So we're good there. Let's go into, so there we go. So we kind of have this thing going. All right, so I zoom that out. So here's my runner dissolving in beautifully. All right, so now it's dissolving out. So now I'm going to scroll over a little bit. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to overlap my runner just a little bit. So now you can see dissolves out. Next runner appears. And you'll notice that that is zoomed out versus the zoomed in. So let's take our dissolve and drop that down. I'm going to pinch this in a little bit to show you that you can also adjust the dissolve there. That's 50.9. So let's crank this up just so that we can see it. So there it is. Let's change our fade to be a little bit less, like 12 seconds. 12 seconds. So now that fades in. And now I'm going to start my cut screens now that I have my basic fade going in. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that. So watch this. I'm going to move this down, butt it up to my clip. So now you're going to notice that goes to there. That's the feet running because I want the feet running to have a different effect. So let's go in. Let's go into Let's adjust the shadows. Let's make them a little bit more blue. And so now I'm going to start building this muted, color adjusted cut screen. So now it's blue. And I'm going to start building all kinds of kind of adjustments. So let's do, the speed is good because I want it to have the pace of the runner be consistent across my video. Let's zoom it up just a skosh, just to see if that makes a bit of a difference in my cut video. So there it is vignetted, and there it is. It's ever so slightly bigger. I hope you can see that the foot gets bigger right there as I transition across the running speed. And so now, let's take that and butt that up. And so now you're going to see it goes back to 100% to see how the foot gets smaller. So it goes back to the normal. It's very subtle, but it's actually been increased by 15%. So that you get a little bit more dramatic treading of the shoe, which hopefully these were New Balance shoes, because then you would get the effect that I'm trying to create here. And so let's take this now and let's go in, and for the sake of the process, let's adjust our midtones instead of our, I'm gonna pinch that in just a little bit so you can see what's going on. Let's do our midtones this time. So I'm going to click on that. And let's just adjust the highlight of it. Let's go a little darker so that you can see the adjustment. See how it goes from blue to more of a purple. It's a woman runner, a lady runner. So I'm just trying to keep the color palette with what would be consistent with maybe a commercial spot. So it goes from small to big to small, all still part of the clip. All right, so let's go to our next clip. So this is when it starts to pan back out. So I want to take this clip and overlap it. So I'm going to overlap it so you can see what happens. So you see how I have it overlapped. And so now I need to dissolve this in because I need it to have this kind of overlay effect. So let's go in and let's do something a little bit different from the film. I'm going to stay in the dissolve environment, but I'm going to bring across dissolve in. So you can see that the runner transitions to the bigger perspective. So there we go. So now I want to, now that I have my dissolve going, let's go into our colors. And so now we're going to adjust the highlights versus midtones versus the shadows. So now you can see fades in, runner feet overlapped, dissolve. So now let's just shift that a little bit so you get a little more of the runner feet. See the runner feet? And so here is my zoom in. Here is my so let's get in here and do our, let's get in. So let's see what we have going on here. I'm just playing around with different effects so you can just kind of see. So let's go in now and let's adjust the scale again. I just want to pan it over so that this thing, so I need to have my cross dissolve happen again on this clip. And I'm just going to try to position the feet where the transition would make most sense. So foot down, picking up, dissolving. So I think I have to move this over just a skosh. Yeah, that's better. So you can see the pickup of the feet as the feet blend into the body. So there we are. So now let's get into our next stage here. And you'll notice this is all one spliced video, and I'm just building now. So this is where she starts bopping. So you see how she's zoomed out here. So now let's do the film dissolve on the end of there. Now I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to move it overlapping. So you can see she dissolves in and blurs back out. All right, so now let's get in here. And we need to add some. So let's add, just so that you can see the treatment. Monochromatic. So it fades in to black and white. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to butt it right up to it just so that you can see the transition. It goes to color. So let's select that. Let's mess around with some of the filters, like the camera filters, so you can see what happens. It's just shot on a different camera. So see how it goes high contrast, black and white to high contrast. If I don't like that, let's try CineSpace 50. A little less of the extreme contrast, but you can still see it. So now I'm going to take these. Let's take the next one and stack that on it. So it goes from high contrast back to natural. Let me just show you what some of the looks of the different film stocks are. Like completely washed out like a glass plate, what we call glass plate. Let's go to Fuji, because Fuji has some really super realistic kind of treatments. I'm going to drop that on there so you can get the Fuji film. And then this gets, you can actually see that, see how it becomes slightly bolder because of the film contrast. And so let's do that. We're going to go in here, move this next leg of the run, and I'm at about 8 seconds. Traditionally, that's where I like to end up, somewhere short of 10, just over 7, 5, 7, somewhere in that range. It could bleed a little bit over. So let's do that. And just for the sake of the pop of the end of the film. Let's add a slight mosaic in. That might be a little too drastic. Let's go mosaic out. So now you're going to see it pixelates and boom. That's perfect. And then I'm going to take my text tool. And so let's make that a little bit bigger. To the mosaic out. And I have to check the social media page for, so let's do a new window, newbalance.com. And their Twitter has a campaign going on right now. So let me just see. We Got Now is the social media campaign. So I need to type in cat lock. We got, we got now. So let's blow this thing up. My mouse is acting a little hokey at the computer tonight. So let's take this. And I'm just going to drop it just right about in the middle. You can kind of get a gist for the treatment I have going on. And let's zoom out for just a minute. Because right here, let's move that over a little bit. I'm going to get rid of these extra clips because I want We Got Now to end at 10 seconds. So there it is. So I fall in my 10-second roll for my social media clips. And so now I'm going to shrink this down so you get a really good idea of my video. All right, so now I've got to fine tune my fading. I'm going to shrink this up a little bit. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I think I want this to overlap just a skosh. So when it fades, that fades in. I actually have such a long adaptive dissolve on it. I'm going to pinch the adaptive dissolve in a little bit. So I get that and that. I can even pinch it in a little bit further. Pinch it in a little bit further so you can see. and it dissolves right in. Now, let's see what we have going on here. So this thing, let's zoom out a little bit. I need to close the space. So let's select these. I need to close that space. So let's overlap those a little bit. And let's take this. So let's take this. Oh, select. I'm going to move We Got Now to on top of that last image so that it fades. See all the busyness of the color transition? And then We Got Now pops up. And I'm going to position it in a spot that works near her shirt. And then it ends, so it appears in the color transition. And then the pixelation breaks out. And it's We Got Now right there. So now I'm closer to my 8-second range, which is really what I prefer. And so now let's go back. I'm going to go back to the beginning. And I'm going to minimize this screen a little bit because I'm going to shoot my own recording for my social media video. So let's get in here and let's open up a new window. I'm going to look at New Balance and see if there's anything I can piggyback off of. Let's see what we got here. Close that. Let's go down and go to the social media page just to see if there's anything I can piggyback off of. So these are cut screens. See how they did their cut screens? It's the same video, just spliced with different cut screens. There's this 15 seconds. I'm going to read this clip here as my, so let me shrink this down. And I'm going to read this social media post as if it was the audio for, so let's get back to the beginning here. New Balance shoes, setback after setback, never gave up. Now the 100 meter world champion, bronze medalist, and forever an inspiration on and off the track. So now let's take this. Sorry for the echo, it's because it's recording for the class and it's recording for my social media post, but let's see what our audio is at just to make sure that it's not too loud. But I've got to now extend out to match my audio. There it is. So now I'm at 12 seconds again, but you get the idea. New Balance shoes, setback after setback, never gave up. Now the 100 meter world champion, bronze medalist, and forever an inspiration on and off the track. I should have said We Got Now at the end of it. But you get the idea of the video. All right, so now let's just take a look at the balance. There's not much I can do to show you right this second because the overdub of the recording of the lecture kind of gets in the way of what I have going on, but I could adjust the channel volumes left and right to the speakers. I could adjust kind of the overall decibel levels. I can do a pan, which means it kind of gets a little bit louder as it pans across. I could make some adjustments. It's kind of echoey because of the nature of the beast, but see how it's a wave file? .wav files are really easy files to grab and import from the web. So if there was a certain noise or sound you wanted to put in your social media clip, you could go out and search for free sound effects. And I actually was just importing some waves in for an Adobe Animate animation I'm doing for the Animate class. So we can go in and type in free sound effects. And let's just see. Oh, it's down for maintenance. I was using, I think I've used a couple of different ones. I've used this one and Vado before, just to grab some social media noise. Multimedia
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Let's just see. Oh, some free clips. So when I download my files, my audio files, if I'm not recording myself or if they don't have a narrated piece they use from a commercial, I'll go out and grab a sound effect or something I need. I almost always use WAV files, even though MP3 files are also available. You'll notice that Premiere, it'll take the other audio files, but by default, it's the WAV file. So you can drag and drop WAV files into your library and drag them onto your timeline. You can record them yourself. You can use the audio from the video that you shot. You can mute the audio from the video you shot. You actually saw that there was no audio clip for the video, free video clip I downloaded from the video file. But there's my little 10-second. Let's go back into Premiere. And let's export this baby as an MP4. Sometimes I'll shoot my audio clip multiple times, multiple mini clips. So each sentence is a clip, depending on what I'm doing. And then I'll import each one of those clips in, move them around the timeline as necessary. I could have pitched that audio clip down a little bit, or I could have chopped it into pieces and got rid of some of the dead space that I had in the audio clip, which you see here. I can cut that clip anywhere I want. So I could play that audio, find the spots that aren't that great, or if there were certain things I said that I wanted to put in separate parts of my video, I could do that. And then in the end, oh, that's my original runner. Where did it dump my clips? Let me just take a quick look. Here's my auto save file. There's my audio capture file. So let's make sure it's saved. Let's dump my media. It's a big file, so it could be still churning. It looks like it is still churning because I went to select it again and it's still processing the original clip. My WAV file didn't help it because when you're shooting in there, it does tend to make the file size a little bit bigger, but it's still kind of running my media. So it won't let me do another capture of my media. So it will appear in a little bit of time. But so this is how I use Premiere for predominantly for my visual communication design business. I use it to shoot social media clips, do some enhanced branding. A lot of it I do myself. I shoot my own video using my iPhone or my iPad with a tripod. I bring it in, I build effects, I do splicing, I do clip scenes, which is what you actually saw on the New Balance Twitter feed. They just spliced video up and did that clip scene where it goes from camera angle to camera angle. You'll notice I tried to time the feet from each clip with each effect differently to kind of time the feet step a little bit, so it felt a little more seamless, even though I'm doing multiple things at once. The New Balance one, actually, they shot a couple of different clips and spliced it in at different periods of the single video of him dribbling the soccer ball. So a nice split screen or cut screen effect that they did for their Twitter. Theirs a little bit longer, 15 seconds, but nonetheless, it should be an introduction of logo. Next week, I'm actually going to show how to animate the logo in After Effects and bring it into our timeline. So we have a fading, shimmering effect to our logo that then fades out to our video cuts, our single video cut staggered. Maybe we'll bring in another scene next week so that you can see the way the cut screen works with importing different videos and sandwiching them in. The beauty about Premiere is it has smart guides, so it snaps to the smart guides as it's going, and that way we can create kind of this really cool thing. New Balance didn't do any filter effects on their Twitter post video. They just used 2 video clips and spliced them and staggered them in to give kind of this fresh storytelling approach. I prefer to do it with 1 video and tell the story by cutting and splicing and staggering the video with effects, zooming in, rotating, panning that effect, using different transitions like shutters and film grain and dissolve in order to create this effect. And I get a lot of bang for my buck out of 1 video. And then I upload it to my client's YouTube channel. And from the YouTube channel, I post the video in all of their social media links, including hashtagging We Got Now. So hashtag We Got Now would be attached to the video that I upload into the social media. I don't know if you ever built your own YouTube channel and posted your videos, but you can post the social media out of there. And as long as your accounts are all tied together, so I'll upload to their video YouTube channel and then post through their social media channels into the We Got Now, if that was my client. And then I could post to Twitter, I can post to LinkedIn, I could post to any of the accounts they use in order to push out campaigning or branding. And that way I build one seamless thing. The beauty about this process is I can then replicate this process for this campaign based on the style I am doing, the transitions I'm using, the color effects I may be applying. So maybe for the girls campaign, I do a little bit more of the magentas, some of the purples, maybe the kind of yellowish orange hues. But then for the guys, maybe I do more blues and monochromatic, but I do the same technique, the same process. I just do it across different video clips in order to enhance the campaign treatment. And it's really powerful and it's free. So for me, the billable hours are shooting the video, building the Premiere file. I charge them once to animate the logo in the video clips, and then I use that video clip over and over again. So for like, if I'm doing a client social media campaign, I charge $125 an hour for the logo animation, and it normally takes about 3 hours. So you can do the math there, just under $400 to animate their logo for all social media posts. And then once I animate the logo once, I build them per campaign post. Traditionally, it takes me about 4 or 5 hours to storyboard and produce the video clip. So I charge them roughly in the $500 to $600 range per social media post per campaign. And a campaign is traditionally 3 to 5 videos. So you can also do the math there. So 3 videos is about $1,800, somewhere between $1,500 and $1,800. And then as I build campaigns onto that, they add up. Traditionally, a social media run campaign that I build for a client normally entails a logo animation and 6 social media posts. So then you can do the math there. We're talking about just under about $5,000 to do a full social media video campaign for them, where I do 6 video campaign clips. I do it under one umbrella, one social media tag. And in this case, hashtag we got now, hashtag New Balance. And then I both build it, upload it to their YouTube, and post it to their social media campaign. And I traditionally give them a calendar, a social media calendar, which means once every 5 days, we post a new video. Once every week, we post a new video. If they're building up to a release, maybe it's once every 3 days, we post a video. So you see, if it's once every week, we cover 6 weeks, the entire build-up process to a new product, a new service, a campaign they're launching that might tie to a new website design or a new product design or something like that. So you kind of get the idea of the process and the buildup and the primary tools I use in Premiere, and you'll see next week in After Effects to build social media posts. All right, this is about our hour lecture. I try to keep week 2 compacted to an hour instead of an hour and 50 minutes so that it gives you more time working from home to work on any of the granular skills in your book. You'll also notice that there isn't a book assignment for week 1 or 2. There's a lot to spoon feed output-wise in the first 2 weeks of your learning modules, and your chapter assignments are only 45 minutes each, roughly, but they add up as we navigate through the book, because next week we're actually going to jump over to After Effects, which is vector-based, to build logo animations through the first couple chapters in that book. You won't see an out-of-book project till our final project, week 4. So this is the time to practice Premiere, learn a few of the application skills. Some of them are a little more enhanced than I traditionally use in your step-by-chapter assignments. But if you can follow along with this lecture, take into account the granular outcomes that you're learning from your chapter assignments, it will position us perfectly for a post-course or final project week 4, where I will have you building a short social media video for a product or service of your choice. So it'll give you a chance to practice some of the things we've seen in the lecture, a couple of the micro skills you're learning in your chapter assignments, and produce a product that can be replicated for a client in a real world environment after the class. So one short social media video with your logo animation, your video clips affected, applied, and performed, and then an output of a final video that you could upload to YouTube to share on social media. So I'm going to wrap up the lecture, wrap up the recording. You have the pre-recording and you have this recording now to kind of see some of the techniques that apply. You may want to spend a little time playing around tonight. I don't know. You might want to just continue in your chapter assignments, kind of navigating through those granular skills. But remember, next week, week 3, we're going to be doing logo animations in After Effects. The beauty about After Effects is it looks very similar timeline and keyframe wise as Adobe Animate. And so it'll allow us to animate our logos and save the file as an After Effects file and import the raw source file right into Premiere as its own layer, just like our static image for our New Balance is right now. So we'll be able to, in essence, animate our logo, bring it in as a new video layer at the introduction of our 10 to 12 second video, animate it from After Effects, and then blend it seamlessly into the Premiere video edits that we're making in order to build a finished social media. And we'll do the out credits next week at the end of our video, just so that you can see the transition of out credits in case you were doing a commercial application. Commercial applications have a credit at the end in order to kind of show who directed it, who created it, where the model or video may have come from and that sort of thing. So we'll animate the logo, we'll animate the out credits, and we'll combine them in from After Effects Premiere and export it as an MP4 file, and we'll have everything all wrapped up. So have a good night practicing, working on your chapter assignments. Many of you have started the upload process of chapter assignments. Let's keep plugging along. I know that it's a decent chunk to cover in a 2-week window. That's why there aren't any out of book assignments. If any of you, many of you have had me in other classes, I like to put an out of book project each week to reinforce the outcomes, but I want the outcomes to be met through the chapter assignment so that we can make a really cool final project as our post-course assessment. Because remember, the outcomes are built towards your portfolio capstone project. So I want to make sure that we produce a capstone project that you could post on your website portfolio, or post on your LinkedIn page if you have one, or post one to social media as a bragging point as we explore multimedia video editing for a social media application. All right, gang, have a good evening. Please send me emails if you have anything as you're navigating through your projects or any hiccups are coming. Everyone's doing well, they're navigating, they're engaged in the content. So let's keep doing that. Next week will all be about After Effects. So please try to do your chapter assignments for Learning Module 1 and 2. Try to get them done prior to next Monday so that we have total concentration on After Effects. It imports seamlessly into Premiere, but it is its own application. So there are some new nuances to After Effects that's different than Premiere that I want to really be able to concentrate on. So we want to try to get our Premiere projects out of the way so we can focus for 7 days on just After Effects. Okay, gang, have a good evening. I'm going to stop the recording sharing part, but keep my window open for a little bit.